Our next speaker is Julie Ford, civilian extraordinaire. You can read more about her career in your program. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Julie Ford.
Thank you, Michelle. I don't know about the extraordinaire part, but the civilian is very true. In my work supporting parents as they lead the next generation to be solution finders, I often share my pet peeve. People see something foul or unacceptable out in the world and they shrug and they say, what are you gonna do? My kid's grades are failing, what are you gonna do? This whole place is a mess, what are you gonna do? My daughter never helps around the house because she's just so busy. What are you gonna do? People are disrespectful jerks. What are you gonna do? This pet peeve has led me to a mission to stop the shrugging. We can all do something. My mission is fueled by the example of my bestie, Chief A.Carlson, who isn't a shrugger. She's a doer. She does, and sometimes it shocks and awes us, as she does. Wait, you booked the tickets already? We talked about that trip yesterday. You actually wore minion glasses to work? Oh wait, not to work. You wore them for your retirement photo for the Navy. Of course you did. Of course you did. You drove across the country after a full day of work and overtime, overnight, to attend the funeral of a veteran. We've all met her. Of course she did. She's not a shrugger, she's a doer. Like me standing before you today, and in keeping with Navy tradition, her speaker should be a prominent officer. And while I'm surely the queen of my castle, I gotta tell you, I do not have any commendations or badges of honor. She wanted my perspective of her service. She wanted the civilian perspective of her leadership and service looking in. So here I am, she just did it. She's a doer. I've often given Ann crap about the absurdities of the military in general and its customs, and because they make zero sense to a lot of us who aren't in it. A few years ago, I spoke at Great Lakes and they welcomed me aboard a building. Yeah, it was surrounded by grass and asphalt, and it didn't even have a moat, although Ann and I agreed definitely it would be much cooler if it had a moat. Nope, no water at all until we got to the drinking fountain, and even that was lacking an impressive stream. So, everybody was so serious though. As we approached the building, I'm looking around like, do they know there's no shit here? Yeah, so she just told me to go with it. Yeah, all the acronyms. Oh, and even outside the building, there was one of those life rings, in case somebody fell in their Slurpee or something. They were on it. They were on it. All right, so all those acronyms, I found a whole list and a cheat sheet online. I was so grateful. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what that means. So I found out all kinds of cool things, like Wizzo isn't a clown, and we at least hope that he's not. OIC doesn't mean I get what you're talking about, but we sure hope that he does get what we're talking about. And WTH isn't what the hell. Unless, of course, your watertight hatch isn't really working, and then it can escalate to a whiskey tango foxtrot quickly, very quickly. All right, I thought it was cute that Ann's boss, called himself XO, his hug, and then he let her do the same, I had had no clue that the Navy was so affectionate. So it opened up my eyes. You know, I thought about introducing myself today with initials just so that I could fit in a little better. You know, I see all the fancy uniforms and I think, oh my gosh, how are these people going to accept me? Maybe if I introduce myself with, you know, MWNM, that's Mom with No Mercy. And I tell you what, I'm the lady that stops shenanigans with one move, and that's the mom brow. Yeah, it's only made more effective by the HP, which is the hen peck. That way they know you're talking about them. And if you give a little nod, they know what you're talking about. You know, they better move. So, all right. Anne used to have this insane number of initials after her texts. So I would text her, you know, how you doing? And I would get a full page back. And all she had said was fine, but all her initials were there. And I had no clue what about 4 of them meant. You know, I figured that some of them were from the Navy, some of them might be law enforcement. I didn't know. I just knew that it wasn't really a long text. You know, friends would look over, wow, that's a lot. No, she said fine. She wears other initials though. For me, she wears BFF. She also used to wear MOH. She was my maid of honor, and that was a role she did not take lightly. She took that one to the nth. Woo! GM, now that's not general manager, that's godmother. She's the godmother to Jasmine and Vicky. And she takes every single role very seriously. She has many other roles and she juggles all of them, but she doesn't wear a badge of busy. If you don't know what the badge of busy is, it's when you stand toe-to-toe with another parent in the parking lot of the school or of the soccer parking lot, and you're like, well, I have to drop the kids off, and then I have to go to work, and I have a whole day of meetings, and then after work, I have to go and pick up treats, and then I've got to take them to soccer and gymnastics and dance, and they feel like it's going to go. But they're going back and forth, trying to one-up each other. Like, my busy is bigger than your busy, and my badge is bigger than your badge, and Anne doesn't wear a badge of busy. She'll say to me, no, I have a lot going on, but I think I can make it. And the overcommitting and then actually making it, because she does, is what I've often said will be the death of her. Speaking of death, we've talked about wanting to be at our own funerals. Simply to soak up the eulogy, because you gotta hear that stuff. What good is it if you're not there to hear it? So I'm gonna attempt a turbo eulogy here, because the woman gave me 12 minutes. So while preparing for today, I talked to Commander Ryan Starkey, and I asked him about the values and virtues of a Navy chief. And when we compared notes, I confirmed that her military and civilian lives are quite similar, at least where leadership is concerned. So his first point, the chief should be offended if an officer has to step in. It's that whole, I've got this mentality. We all know she's got this. She's temporarily taken my parenting command more than once. And although I know that I will receive my kids back filthy, exhausted, and at least one of them will have thrown up from junk food, I have full confidence that they will have learned something about respect, about doing for others, and about enjoying this beautiful life with both hands, both eyes open. Except to tell me that something amazingly funny happened, she has yet to phone me in surrender. There's a problem, she doesn't waste time shrugging. She's already doing it. And I'm sure the kiss hugs in the room will agree. They felt the same confidence. The second point was that a chief is dependable. Making sure that everyone in her command and above is taken care of, and if it isn't done, the chief does it or feels like she should. On her field trips, or IRT as you guys call them, She made sure that her sailors were not only informed, prepared, respectful, and therefore respected, but they were in high spirits due to her preparation to lighten their load with humor and levity. They wanted to do well by her because they knew that she had their backs and reminded them of what was important. She could have shrugged and taken the attitude, this is gonna suck, but we were told we're gonna do it, and so I'm gonna make sure you do it. But she kept morale up by keeping their eyes on the humanity, the why. And she did everything in her power to make every experience better. They depended upon her larrikinism. Larrikinism is a term that I learned about because of one of Anne's just doings. She never served aboard a vessel. She served in buildings. So, given that, she was never to receive a letter after her retirement from a captain. She didn't serve aboard a vessel. So rather than shrugging about that, she wrote an email for a letter from the kiss hug of the vessel Fairy McFairyface in Sydney Harbor, Australia. Why that vessel, among other questions that might be on your mind? This is a quote. Fairy McFairyface reflects the spirit of fun and larrikinism that makes Australian culture famous. Larrikin is defined as a boisterous, often badly behaved young man, or a person with apparent disregard for convention, a maverick. Larrikins are celebrated in Australian culture, especially in times of need, sadness, or conflict. I think we can all celebrate the larrikin we have in Chief Carlson and in Auntie Anne. Commander Starkey's last virtue of a Navy chief is that they can be counted on, and it doesn't matter who's asking for help. As my daughter Vivian said when I was preparing, quote, she doesn't put up with should. Most people say stuff like, you know, we should do this or that good deed. And then they think about it for a long while, but they never do it. Auntie Anne says, let me get my keys. And we are off to an Indiana kill shelter to pick up a van load of puppies. She didn't think about our comfort. She kind of didn't think about our safety all the way, but we were all about those puppies. And obviously, I'll add to Vivian's comment. She says, first, quote, she supports us no matter what. Whether it's a surgery or just a stupid old choir concert, she's there. She's a mother to all. And I'll add that it doesn't matter if you're human. So post-retirement from the Navy, she's on to many new adventures in larrikinism. Lots of new awesome doing. But I'm sure somebody out there may have already said, and others still will, you know, these missions used to be way more fun and engaging, but now that Chief Carlson's gone, what are you gonna do? Something. Follow her lead. You're gonna do something. Get your keys. Congratulations, my dear, dear friend. And thank you for your perpetual service and not being a shrugger.